Hi, my name is Ivan Vune, and welcome to the Ministry Media Show here on Rainbow Gospel Radio, Missions Radio for the World. And on this show, our objective is to help you get your message out to the world. And what better way to do that than on internet radio? And here we have, I have with me on this show, the manager of our station, Rainbow Gospel Radio, Nico Liebenberg. Nico, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Hello, Ivan. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.
I love you, and I love your story, and I love how this got started. And I've been involved with you for a while, and I think you have such an amazing story. So let's talk a little bit about Rainbow Gospel Radio itself. We now know that this station exists, and we've got lots of presenters, and it's really amazing, and lots of things are happening. But I want to go back to the beginning. Tell us, where did the idea of Rainbow Gospel Radio get started for you?
Ivan, it's not as much as an idea as a vision God gave me. I think it was late 2011, early 2012. If I'm not mistaken, God told me in a dream that I should build a radio station, gospel radio station. At that point in time, there were none around. And when I asked people about it, they laughed at me and said it would never work. And so nobody was even prepared to help me to build it. It was difficult because I knew nothing. I knew zilch. So it took me a few months of research on YouTube, how to go about it. And then sometimes at night I would lay awake and think about a problem, I can't sleep, and then I get an idea, I would get up and then try it. If it's working, go back to bed happy. Start again tomorrow with a following problem. And that's basically how it happened. Yeah, early 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so did it just drop in your spirit? Was it the heavens opened up? What happened?
No, things happened in my life that affected my short-term memory. So I can't really remember exactly. But I vaguely remember it was in a dream. I woke up and I told Corneille then what God said to me. And she said to me, if we do that, it's going to take over all of our lives, 24/7. And I laughed and I said, don't be ridiculous. Little did I know. Did I know.
All right. So you get started, you got this thing about the radio, did some research online. What was the next thing that developed for you? Did you go on the air immediately? How many radio shows were there?
It took a few months. It took a few months to get the whole thing up and running completely. But no presenters, no content, no nothing. So I downloaded a few sermons from YouTube and started broadcasting that, but we had no listeners. So you can't broadcast without any listeners. So what I had to do, I created a ghost listener on another computer. And Corneille always said, fake it until you make it. And that's what we done. We had one listener, and that was our own computer. But very quickly started getting momentum, and very shortly we were doing sermons 24/7. But it got too much sermons. It's a sermon, then you would have 4 or 5 songs and then a sermon. And I think, in the beginning it was fine, but it's a bit too much if I think back now. And then we got one presenter, Dr. Johan Gous. He also passed away already, but he was our first presenter. Then one program live, and then 2 and 3 and 4, and eventually I started as well, and Corneille started as well. And today, we've got 3 stations, almost 100 presenters.
Nico, I want to pause there for a moment, and I want to talk about the faithfulness to the vision, and that patience and also relentlessness. You said that you started out, you didn't have any listeners, and a lot of people are there. A lot of people they might be in this ministry media space. they've maybe started a podcast, or they're talking to people about the gospel on YouTube, or they even started a ministry. They started a church service, and it's in a school hall, and they've gone and formed relationships, and they're preaching every Sunday, and there's 2 people. What do you want to say to those people? How did you get over this, I have no listeners right now? And what motivated you to be faithful, keep faithful to that vision?
Ivan, I think when God created me, I think he put something in different in me, because I just don't give up. I don't. Sometimes I'll tell you what. Did I cry? You better believe it. Many times. But you would have a setback, and then just start from scratch and do it over and over and over again, and don't stop. Don't stop. Fall flat on my nose many times. Many times. Just get up and carry on. Did I feel like stopping or giving up? Like I've said, many times. But unfortunately, I can't. That's not in my DNA. I just can't. I don't give up. I just can't do that. I can't explain it to you, but I will not start something and then not finish it. And my mother always used to say to me, I overdo things. You know, when I studied part-time after school, and I studied, brother. I worked till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe sleep an hour, then go to work and go underground when I was still working in the mines, and then study underground. So I overdo everything. When I got involved in the wrong side of life and using drugs, I've done that exactly the same, 110%. So when I work, I give everything. With the radio station, when God saved me, in the radio station, I give everything. I don't cut corners. I don't sit back and wait for things to happen. I carry on until they do happen. I make them happen. But it's not easy. People think they can start a station and just sit, and it's going to happen. You're going to have millions of listeners. The people are not standing in queue to listen to you. You have to create something that they would be interested to listen to. And that's easier said than done. Really it is. That's many times. I've spoken to Pastor Monet de Beer the other day, Dr. de Beer, and we were talking. He said that time was digging the foundations. It really was. Yes. It was difficult. It was difficult, Ivan. Would I do it again? Yeah, for sure I would. But I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Okay, so you had no listeners. You had no listeners, and then this started to get momentum. People started coming on board. You say a few people, 4, 5, or 6, etc. And so now today, I mean, we have about 80 presenters on the station. Can you kind of fill in this gap for us in that story, building up to that? Obviously, people brought people into your life that they brought into the vision, and they're helping out, etc. What happened in between then and now? How did the station grow and progress?
You know, I remember that when we started off, the station was built in Belgium at first with another company. And then you had to have 260 something hours, listening hours a month to stay on the air. And I tell you what, even to make that, it was a nightmare. And then at the end of the month, you see, you're not going to make the hours, and we would fire up 3 or more different computers and different listeners on the same computer on different IPs to make it. But then we started speaking to people. I can just say that none of our presenters applied to be on the radio. None, not even one. All of them, it was by invitation. If God led me to somebody or something happens and I feel in my heart, I will speak to this person, or Corneille, And that's all when one of the presenters recommend somebody and I would speak to them and I feel in my heart that's the right thing, then I would invite him. Like yourself, you remember when a few years ago when you came on board, nobody'd apply. But that's the way, by word of mouth, and you would recommend somebody and then we would check them out and if we feel comfortable, we would invite him. And that's, and we had people coming that were here for a season and then would leave. Just another thing, if you've been with us and you left, there's no turnaround. If you left, you will not come back again. So, yes, so the people, we grew. The people started talking to each other. Now, lots of people contact me, but like I said to you, I don't accept applications, only invitations. And now we are almost complete. Now we have to even be selective with the recommendations because the slots are so few that's open.
Nico, I want to go a little bit into what the landscape looks like on the station and what people can expect. But let's talk first about what is your, I think let's start there. Let's talk about the current presenter and program mix. What are we looking at someone that listens to the radio station? What can they experience? Tell me a little bit of the people that you know, their programs that they have. What kind of things do they have? Is there sermons? Who's preaching on where and what? What kind of programs are there, etc.? Tell us a little bit about the station and the experience that the listener can have.
I mean, I think a good place to start would be to just mention our vision or our logo or our motto. We are the mission radio for the world. Now, being a missionary, that I've been for quite a few years, when you do missionary work, it's not only preaching. It's preaching, it's medical work, it's feeding, it's school, it's recreation, and that's what we try to do. We do everything. We got medical programs, we got alternative healing programs about using herbs and things, natural remedies. We got programs specifically for women. We got programs on teaching. We got a Bible school. We even got contemporary programs playing normal contemporary music. So that's a whole spectrum, Ivan. Teaching, the whole thing. When we have somebody, a new person coming on board, I would discuss with him his passion. And normally, if you utilize his passion, you will get a good product. And that's what's been happening. And praise God, he's been using that. So the station is very diverse. There's lots of different inputs. And it's all, you know what comes to mind? It's a rainbow. Everything goes together and it forms the rainbow, all the different colors. So that's basically what, to tell you, we got sermons. Yes, we do, because we got an online church. We got an English sermon in the morning. Sundays, we got Afrikaans sermon. We got an evening service. We got Bible school. So it's all sorts, really, really all sorts. With the bottom, with the foundation being teaching the people about Christ, obviously, and getting the message out there. That is the bottom line of all the programs, the foundation.
Okay.
Reaching the unsaved.
So let's talk about that. I think that's very important for anyone that's developing any online ministry or media ministry. You mentioned that the first question that you ask people is, what is their passion? How important do you think is passion for anybody that wants to do, number one, ministry, but especially ministry online?
I think it's crucial, because if you're coming online to think you're going to sit here for 5 minutes a day and do something, and all of a sudden, your phone's not going to stop ringing. Everybody just want to. You're sadly mistaken, because it's not it. If you're not prepared to put in hours and hours and hours, did I mention hours and hours and mention a few more? If you haven't got a passion for it, and you think you're going to come in and do something for an hour a day, you might as well leave it. You might as well leave it. Really, if you are not called to do that, you're gonna fail sadly, bad. If there's no passion, involved, you will not be as willing to, I think, to carry on with it as what you would normally have if you don't have that passion for it.
I often, when I go to my clients, I talk to them about this preparation process, and we're talking about passion and so on. And so I believe that the delivery, for instance, your show, is 10% of the whole picture. 90% of it is preparation. Preparation of yourself, your devotional life. It is prayer, it's fasting, etc. It is listening from God, what He wants to do, etc. I know that you also present yourself, but you know everybody that's involved in the station. What kind of preparation do you think on a holistic picture is involved in preparing for a radio show?
Well, I can tell you, I speak to quite a few of the presenters, obviously, about their programs. And in general, to prepare a 1 hour program, it's about at least, I think, 3 to 4 hours preparation to preparing to do something, to present your program. And then a few minutes before you start, you actually go over everything. You check your broadcasting program, to check your internet, to check everything. Life happens, and then something happens. But in general, it's 4 hours, 3, 4 hours, sometimes even more. Research. You must remember, Ivan, when I tell you a story about the trees, and I can tell you lots of imaginary things, and it's like a story. You talk about the Word of God. Firstly, it's very, very serious. Secondly, you must make sure that it's factual, that you can, whatever you say, you must be able to prove it, what's written in the Word. Otherwise, and people do check up on us. They do. They do. You have to make sure. And also, I got a philosophy that we are in the insurance business, basically, because that's what we are doing. We are selling or promoting life insurance, eternal life insurance. Wow. And that is not a joke. That's not just a thing that you play around with, because you got somebody's eternal life in your hands. You do. Because you're talking, if you're listening and you're giving the wrong information and you're leading him off the road, you're going to be responsible for that man's eternal condemnation, or whatever the case may be. That's it. We need to give the insurance, and you have to know your product to make sure that, Ivan, this is important for you. This is your life insurance. This is not only for 80 years and beyond pension. This is for eternity. Now, if I mess around with that, we just don't do that. That is the importance, and that is why it's important to prepare. I don't go on air. Friday nights I have a contemporary program called Nostalgia. It's just about old music. Now that I don't prepare for, because I get my music ready, I prepare that way. But I don't have to talk about, it's music. Sunday night I do Amazing Grace. I will not go on air if I did not pray. I will, and prepared. I sometimes, I started in the week, then I would think about something, and I would make a note and make a note. And then come Sunday, you're still not satisfied that you are 100% prepared. And then you pray before you go on air. Because I am not prepared. I cannot do that. I'm not a public speaker, Ivan. When you started the radio, I never could pray in front of somebody. I could never present a message. Although I'd done the theology studies, I'm a pastor, and that's what I was. So even today, after all these years, I am still nervous when I go on air on a Sunday night to present the word, because of the seriousness of the matter. Just because this, Ivan, you know, I've given this so many years of my life already. My late wife, indirectly, she gave her life for what we are doing. This is not a game. This is not a pastime. This is not a hobby. It's not. This is reality. This is dead serious, Ivan. This is serious. This is serious.
I heard someone make a joke before. He says, if you do anything like public speaking or a radio show, etc., and you're not nervous beforehand, then there's something wrong with you.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I got some presenters that during their programs, they would send me a WhatsApp and say, I'm battling. Pray, please pray. And then that's what we do, because that's the way we carry each other. We pray for each other.
Amazing.
Myself, Sunday nights, I tell you what, brother, when it's done, Ivan, I'm drained. I sit like a piece of jelly, flat, finished.
Yes, yeah.
That's only 1 hour. And there's some people that do 2 hours. You know, it's draining, Ivan. It's because of the seriousness of the matter, the importance of the... And Ivan, if you look around today, what's happening, if you don't realize that this is the birth pains of the end of the times, my brother, you're blind. Really.
Nico, I love how we're going into the seriousness of this and how important this is as a ministry overall in the overall contribution to the development of the kingdom, etc. I want to ask you to share one or two stories of how the radio has made an impact in someone's life. When we meet with the board and we discuss things, often we tell stories of how someone has been on air and it has critically affected someone where they may want to take their lives or something else drastic like that. Just tell us one or two stories like that.
The air is standing up my body like this, because what you just said now happened to me, really did. We received we were still in the Middle East, and we were hiding, still in hiding, and we received a WhatsApp from this one lady. She heard something on the radio this one Sunday night while I was giving a message, and she was on the verge of committing suicide. And I don't know how that she got to the station or what happened, but it turned her life around. And we were speaking to her for a few years after that. But I mean, that's just one instance. Not too long ago, there was this young boy, and he had liver failure. He needed a liver transplant, and there were no liver transplants. Liver is available for transplant, and he was sick. I'm trying to remember his name because it's not the other day. And we prayed on air. Pastor Karen prayed on air, and the very following day, a mom phoned and said they were told to come to hospital. They found a liver for him. He had the transplant, total success. 2 days later, this boy's out of hospital.
Amazing.
Because we prayed. I wouldn't say it's just because we prayed, but we prayed. You know, every night, 9 o'clock to 9:15, 7 days a week. Done deal. That's playtime. That's playing for prayer requests, play for South Africa, play for the radio. And we played even in the following day. You got to live it. Praise God. He's out of hospital, he's smiling, he's healthy. He's obviously still got pain, but you know what I'm saying? And I received emails, from people in China. And they said, I nearly fell off my bed. I was lying in the middle of Beijing, and all of a sudden, I hear the word of God in English.
Wow.
You understand? So, this in my life, Ivan, it's huge, brother.
Nico,
it's huge.
Nico, you paid a big price, or you're constantly paying a big price, but you've paid a big price for this to get started. Tell us a little bit of that story of, you wanted to get this started, you were in another country and things. Tell us a little bit about what happened. How did this get started? Because, if something great is about to happen and God is about to put something in place, the person carrying the vision is often tested, and there's lots of things that happens around that. It doesn't just happen like this. The gospel has a price to it for those that carry the message. Tell us about what has happened in your life to get this started.
Ivan, the first night when we were broadcasting in English and Afrikaans, no problems. We were in the Middle East, in a country called Oman. Oman is basically between Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Saudi, and the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and then the sea. And everything was fine until one evening a pastor friend of mine from Jordan came to visit, and I put him on the radio, and he took his Bible for an hour and a half. He was preaching in Arabic. The following day, all hell broke loose. And it was that afternoon or the following, I can't remember exactly. He phoned me and said to me, I'm gone. They were threatening him and his wife and family. He says to me, I can't do this. I can't. I'm in a different country. He was a Jordanian pastor, but he can't do that. So we had to, they wanted they started sending us videos. They wanted to kill us, and videos of people being decapitated. And so one night we moved in the middle of the night, literally in the middle of the night. We moved from one house to a different house without anybody knowing about it. And even the owner of the house didn't know we were moving. And we moved to a house about 50 or 60 meters from the biggest mosque in that area, Khalifa Mosque in Sohar in Oman. And we had 6 foot, 8 foot walls right around the place. So we only used 3 rooms, the room where we slept in, the room of the computers, and the bathroom and kitchen. But this place had 12 rooms and many bathrooms and whatever. But we only used this, and we were broadcasting, right next to the mosque. And this went on for a while, and eventually we couldn't pay. They cut the water, and we didn't have water. So in the evenings, we used to go in the street with drug cans and go to the places where there's public water. We used to fall for drinking water. And we would go to the international building complexes where there's swimming pools. And we would go into the change houses maybe once a week, and then we could have a shower until the security catch us, and then we moved to some that's why we only went sometimes once, luxury times, twice a week. And then in November 2015, the ambassador of that country, which we were friends with him from South Africa, sent us a message via Corne's mother telling us that they know where we are, and we had to leave the country. They're coming to kill us. So we sold our furniture, our bedroom suite, and our air conditioners, and again in the middle of the night, we fled. We found 2 rooms in the middle of like a small oasis type of thing, felt where they're growing alfalfa. Alfalfa is like Lucerne, I think, is the closest explanation I get for the camel feed. In 2 rooms there with no kitchen, and just a toilet and a basin and a pipe coming for showering. But we had a small little geyser, and the water was underground water, so we could shower every day, which was like heaven. And we lived there for 18 months. And then, and embassy always told us to keep a bag ready, a package bag with clothing, all the necessities, the necessary things. So when the problem comes, we just grab the stuff, we go to the beach, they will put us on a boat and put us out to sea. And the 13th of March 2017, on a Sunday morning, the police called me and I was put in jail. I was not charged. That, you know, when the ambassador phoned them, they would say, no, he's not been arrested, he's been detained. But the minute I got caught, I phoned Corneille and told her that, look, they got me, I'm on my way to jail. She started letting the world know, and it was everywhere in the radio, on the newspapers, I believe. And I think she saved my life with that. But that was a Sunday, and a Monday night, in the middle of the night, people helped her and her son, and they fled to the embassy in Muscat, the capital of Oman. They slept on the pavement there from about 2:30 or 3 o'clock until 8 o'clock when it opened. And then she went into the embassy, and I knew she was safe. We had it like a skelm, even small telephone inside there that we could phone, and I could speak to her. But anyway, on the 3rd of April, they were deported. Corneille and her son, 4:30 in the morning, Friday morning. No, Monday morning. And I spoke into the afternoon. I phoned from the inside the cells. I phoned her and she was happy. She saw her mother the first time in 5 years. And the following day I phoned her again and she said to me, she's very sick, she can't breathe. She went to the doctors and they put her into isolation immediately. And that's the last I heard of her. On the Friday, the 7th, I phoned my mom because that's the only number I knew off by heart, and I couldn't get hold of her. And my mom said to me, she's sick and she's in the hospital. So I told her, just tell her that I love her. And the Saturday night, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I got hold of the phone again, and I phoned my mom. And my mom told me that Corneille passed away. And that's why I can't remember my memory. I started to get better, but the shock was too, it knocked me. And I was in jail until the 28th of April before they deported me. You know, there were no beds. You sleep on the cement. When you eat, they give you it's like a tray with rice and a few pieces of meat. And then 4 or 5 people sit around this and eat from this one tray. And if there's a piece of meat you have to grab, if you're slow, tough, there's no meat for you today, or fish. Or. But I used to stand in the showers at night and cry, and I prayed. I had no towel, so I would stand in the shower and walk around until I'm dry with my clothes on, and then lie down and then shower again. But I was scared to sleep at night because they, you know, what happened in jail, the men, and they, not good. So they tried me once, and I nearly knocked the crap out of them, but I was not prepared to take that chance again, that they catch me asleep at night. But the 28th of April, 2017, I was deported 4:30 in the morning without nothing. I didn't even have underpants on. When I walked out of jail, out of the cells, you know, they come in, they take off their shoes. They don't go into the place with their shoes. So the shoes all outside, like an open market. And you know, me coming from South Africa, we know about midnight shopping. You know, so when I walked out, I saw a pair of shoes that's almost my size and brand new. I just slipped in my feet and carried on walking into the van, and They took me to the airport and kicked me out of the country. But nothing. I lost everything. My clothes, nothing. I had nothing. But when the airplane took off and I heard the undercarriage coming in, I cried and I said, thank you, God, now I know I'm safe. They can't take me back again. But it was, yeah.
And so while you're now back, you're going to South Africa, the radio is still busy operating, it's still going on the air. And
Ivan, God is so great. We were in Belgium, and every day in Belgium you have to book in advance your radio, 30 days. If you don't book, your radio is dead. And about 2 months before I got caught, God created in me this uncomfortable feeling that I must change the radio from, I must move it out of Belgium, away from there. Because what they'd done is, there were some money problems with them and Sony, so they would apply geo-blocking, and they would block different countries around the world. So different countries cannot listen, and South Africa was one of them. So we made another plan. I took the signal from, as it came out of Belgium, before it went to the players, I took that signal back to the north, to the Middle East, onto another computer, and broadcast it again, but then this time sending it to a server in the UK, and then the UK could send to South Africa. But it was illegal, but we got South Africa on air. But I mean, 2 months before I was caught, I had this uncomfortable feeling, and I'm sure that's God telling me, this move the radio, and I did. Lots of work, and I was very scared to switch off the one in Belgium. The other one was running in Toronto. Yes, but I was nervous before I switched it off because it was so scary. Something, I don't know. Yes. Anyway, I've done that. And when I was in jail, 30 days, I was sitting, and Corneille came to church one day, after the cells, one day with the ambassadors. He gave me a book, Biblical Men or something. And I was reading this, and God said to me, how long are you in jail now? And I sat up and I thought, why did this come up with me now? I thought, I'm in jail 30 days. And I could hear God saying, what would have happened if you did not move the station from Belgium to Toronto? The station would have been dead. So I built in an auto DJ, so whenever there's no live presenters on air, there's always gospel music playing, so the radio could never be dead. Never. If some presenters, if they fall asleep or something that have happened with a dead man switch, if it's quiet for 5 seconds, then it kicks over to the auto DJ. And so yeah, that was, I cried, Ivan. I cried. God does not let anything happen without a reason. There's always a reason. And in Romans 8:28, he says, everything happens for the best for those who love the Lord. And sometimes, Ivan, if you think about it, it's even today, I would have situation in my life and I'm upset and it hurts. It's painful. And then you remember what God said. All these things that happened in my life, He was preparing me for what I had to do. When I went to the Middle East, first, I went to Iran, everybody said to me, I'm stupid, I'm risking my life. But because I'm not scared of nothing, I went. If I did not, if I was scared or, hesitant, we used to play with the people on the mine, say, Scotty, when I hesitate, better when I lost it. If you hesitate, leave it out. And I don't. If I got more than an 80% chance of success, that's it. I'm doing it. So God prepared me, even at times when I was using drugs, and times when I slept in the streets, times when I slept in homeless shelters. And at the time, I couldn't. It was painful. It was painful, Ivan. But I know God had a plan. He was preparing me for what I had to do. and it still does. I don't know what's happening in the future, but I know God is preparing us for it. He will not give you something over and above your abilities.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about radio. He taught me this, and I remember this. He called the disciples fishermen, unschooled people, and look how they turned the whole world around with the gospel. No, so.
Okay, so you're on the plane, you are deported, you come back to South Africa, and you land. What was the first thing that you did?
I was very sick. I had what do you call it? Fungus on my feet. I had like sores on my body and things. But we went to my auntie's place in Pretoria, and that evening I took the computers were there. So I got my computers and I started trying to get everything in order again. Change the passwords, make sure we are safe. And the following morning I was taken to hospital for the doctors to check me. And Ivan, that was the first day I knew something big was coming. I was lying in casualties, and this woman doctor was checking me out, and she says to me, "My goodness, were you in World War III?" And I was close to tears, and she asked me what happened. I started telling her. I went for the next half an hour, 45 minutes. This doctor was crying on my shoulder, and she was not saved. And what we discussed there, and I told her what God done for us, I believe changed that woman's life, and she, God saved her that day, I'm sure of it. And I knew that it doesn't matter what happens, God's got a plan with me, and I just have to stick it out. That's it. And carried on. Last year, at the beginning of last year, I started getting short of breath. I couldn't breathe. I would stand up in the bath, walk to the room, then I would have to lie down because I couldn't. I thought maybe I'm unfit. And my mom insisted on me going to the doctor, and he took x-rays of my lungs and things, and she saw that I only have like almost 10% capacity of my lungs available, and the rest was full of fungus, the same as what Corneille had passed away from. And he started a very aggressive treatment, and on a 6-month aggressive treatment, and I'm fine. And then my lungs took a knock, but I'm fine. But the radio, that's what I'm doing every day. I get up in the morning and I sit here behind the computers, and this is what I do. I leave here when I take my mom to town, or when I go to the gym, when the gym is still open. But the rest of the time, this is it. This is it. This is it.
Okay, Nico, so I want people also to know that listens to this radio station that Rainbow Gospel Radio was a launch pad and a platform for building something bigger. God has not just put Rainbow Gospel Radio in your heart, there's a bigger picture. So it's progressed from being a station to a bigger thing called Missions Radio. Tell us about that.
Ivan, when we started the Rainbow Gospel Radio, when I put on Dr. Cliff Ferguson, who done his thesis, you'll speak to him next week, thesis on media evangelism, he helped me, and we created like a global radio missions umbrella, under the umbrella Rainbow Gospel Radio, because I had always in my mind, I want to build more. We were broadcasting Bible readings in different languages, 28 languages. And I always, but now for 10 minutes, I would broadcast Arabic. Now the Arabs got 10 minutes in 168 hours a week. You've got 10 minutes to hit the radio station and catch that piece. If you missed that, you missed it. Because then it's Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or whatever. Okay. And I had this dream of start building more radio stations that would do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, only Arabic, Chinese, Russian, German, but not with live presenters. Because although I can speak a little bit of Arabic, and I'm starting to forget it already, I cannot follow if they start talking too fast, I lose them. So I don't know if he's talking the real religion or he's talking about Islam or whatever. So I cannot take that chance. So what I'm doing is take pre-recorded material, verified pre-recorded material, and then put this on the radio station. And that was the dream. So to start off, we built a Zulu radio station, and I can speak Zulu as well. So we started putting live presenters on Zulu because I can monitor them. I can listen to them, and I can hear what they're talking. And we started putting live presenters on there. Currently, we have about 10 or 12, if I'm not mistaken, live Zulu presenters also. But that station also is 24/7 on air. When there's no live presenter, there's the music there. And then I started with a Arabic one, Arabic with the Bible reading, all of the New Testament, except we're not going to put Revelations because we don't want to, it's deep, and you don't know how that can handle it. So Bible readings are there, and I've downloaded some 400 and something odd Arabic sermons, which are prepared and converted and everything ready for broadcasting. So we're loading that. That's on already. And now I'm busy with the Arabic music. But the music is written in Arabic writing. And the broadcasting program does not recognize that. So I have to convert that, translate that into English, and then rename it and everything, and then we can use it. And that's what I'm busy with currently. So the Arabic station now is broadcasting sermons and Bible reading. The music will be added very shortly, and then I will build the radio so it can run independently for at least a year, maintenance free, if there's nothing unforeseen happen. Because I need time, then because they're not going to start the next one, Chinese or whatever the case will be. So I have to prepare the station, must be able to run for at least full year, 24/7 without any interference. And then build all the other stations, the other 27 stations, the 28 most spoken languages on earth. You know, it's like English, Afrikaans, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Spanish, Portuguese, Tagalog, Urdu, Hindi. In the Indian, we're going to just go Hindi because there's too many dialects in India. You can, if you have to do that, that could be like 100 radio stations all on its own for just the Indian countries, Indian dialects. So we're going to go Hindi because most of the people can understand Hindi. And that's a dream. That's what we are busy with currently. The global radio missions with all the different stations underneath.
Okay,
that takes time.
Tell us a little bit.
Lots of finances.
Tell us a little bit about how long does it take you to set up a new radio station in a new language?
Even the preparation work would be 2 to 3 months. I started long ago with the Bible readings and dramatic Bible readings. I got that and prepared that. So that's in place, all those stations. Now to get the sermons, verified sermons, and music. And then it will take 2 months, maybe 3. Not to when the station is built and to load everything, you can do that in a few days. But the preparation, because we know what we are doing already. So, you know, it's like a bicycle. You learn and you forget, but you learn and you understand. When you know what to do, it's quick. If you don't, like in the beginning, yes, it was a nightmare. But because I went that route already, I know, okay, this is a problem. I have to work like this to avert this problem. But the preparation work, maybe 2 months, 3 months, 2 months, 3 months per station. But then I work on a few stations at a time. Otherwise, my brain will just melt.
Nico, tell me what do you feel is the role of internet radio, specifically internet gospel radio stations in missions all over the world?
You know, Ivan, when we started off the radio, it was basically for expats, South African expats overseas, people. We had lots of friends in Saudi Arabia and Turkey and for that, and then for farmers on the farm that can't go to hundreds of kilometers from a church, or if people in hospital or is sick, or that's why we started it. But it became more apparent that it's way more than that. That the people out there, the people that's hungry for the word, Ivan. And now with the current situation with the COVID, again, nothing happens by chance. God was preparing it. When COVID happened, we were geared already. So Sundays, when people normally go to church, now they can't. We were geared for that. And we could see a rise in listeners as well. So Ivan, more and more, I'm thinking this is going to be the future. Not television, not normal radio, internet radio. Because of the availability globally, and there's many of them around, many internet radio stations, and they turn out better content than the normal radio stations. That's full of advertising, full of news, and I really believe this is the future. I really believe. And if I read Dr. Cliff's thesis, he's on the same page. Exactly. That's why he's done his doctorate on that.
Right. Nico, we as the directors of the station followed your lead, and we took a stance that we are not going to sell advertising on the station. Why was that important? You told me that you had a specific instruction about this.
God told me in exactly so many words. Firstly, he never gave me the mandate to make money from a station. That's why up to today, I'm not getting a salary. The last salary I received was 2011, and I received well over 100,000 rand a month. And then all of a sudden, it's a shock to the system, believe me. But anyway, when I built the radio, I wanted to be the best. I don't like losing. I'm a bad loser. And one night I was sitting on the computer. I had a program that I can monitor listeners from other stations. And I was checking and if there's an Islamic station that were higher than us, I was upset. And I could not believe. I got a passion for the Islamic people because I saw what's happening in the island. And I was doing this, busy checking numbers. And one of the people on the radio was preaching, and he clearly said, and you that's chasing the numbers, God says stop. And I flipped back. I nearly fell off my seat. I nearly fell off my chair, and that's why I said, we don't chase numbers. And for advertising, people want numbers. Then we decided we're going to use sponsoring. But sponsoring is just a nice disguise for advertising. That's not the flavor of our station. We want to give the word to the people. But anyway, Ivan, if you're selling lollipops in Pretoria, what does the people in Mauritius care about your lollipops in Pretoria? Understand? So it also doesn't make sense. But that's not the big motivation. God gave me the mandate to do that. I will not do that. That's why I also said in the directors meeting, we will not chase numbers. If we get people, and you came up with the idea for partnerships, we will do that, but we will not chase numbers. When people partner with us, it's because they want to invest in evangelism and missionary work, not because there's something for them to gain in it. That's not it. That's not, and I strongly believe that, Ivan. I will not take a cent of my life for the rest of my life, salary. If we have to do that for money, I will not. If I get money in some other way, I will do that, but I will not try and make money from the station with advertising, or I will not do that. I will not. He's been looking after me. God's been looking after me for 9 years. Not one night did we go hungry. Yes, many nights and days we ate cabbage soup in the morning and the evening, twice a day, because we couldn't afford 3 meals. Many times we cooked the chicken bones. We get the chicken, we cook the bones, make a broth, and then add cabbage or carrots or whatever we got, and make soup of that. But not once did I go hungry. Not once did we go hungry, Ivan. I will not go back on that.
So Nico, I wanna do 2 final things before we end this call. I think it's going to be very exciting. The first one is, let's say someone has a heart for missions. They understand this is a missions field and they want to get involved and they want to partner with us. The language that we developed, we want to have partners partnering with us so that we can, cover the costs of development and also of the people that are everyday laboring and making sure things happen. If people want to partner with us, give us an idea, where do they call, where do they get involved, what is the next step for them?
Ivan, I'm available 24/7. I sit and do this all the time. So
can people email you or call you? Give us your number and your email.
They can email me at nico@landbird.com, and I'm sure you can just put it underneath in the comments, or you can give my telephone number to them. But yes, they can phone me, and then I will put them in contact with the right people. Because as you know, and you are the marketing director, that you are you are spearheading you and Elise are spearheading the whole marketing efforts of the radio. But we got an auditors company, auditors looking after the finances and making sure everything is above board and things happen the way it should. And I will put them in contact with the right people for them to come on board. And we would love to have partners on board, Ivan. There's about 2 or 3 billion people, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I heard, lost souls, people that did not hear about the word of God. And what is the last instruction he gave us before we went to heaven? Go out and tell the people, tell the world about us, tell the world about him. And that's what we are doing. That's what we are doing, Ivan. And like I say, we are studying, we are promoting the insurance, the eternal life insurance for people, for mankind.
Okay. So if you want to partner with Global Missions Radio to partner in this Rainbow Gospels Radio, or you want to help us establish some of the other stations that we do in different languages, you can just mail Nico at rainbowgr.com, or you can give him a call, +27 6807 7041. And Nico, we are also able to give people certificates, tax certificates, if they want to do that and so from their businesses, correct?
Ivan, not as yet. We are looking to get that opportunity to do that. But with the current situation of global situation with COVID, it's not in place as yet because of the skeleton staff working everywhere, and new applications like that could take 6 months, 8 months, a year, or we don't know yet. But there's a backlog the size of Table Mountain, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so if you want to get involved, just call Nico on that number or email him, Nico at rainbowgr.com. Nico, it was an absolute honor for me to have you on the show. I wanted to do this for quite a while, and I'm glad that we did this, and I loved hearing your story, and I think the listeners as well, because I believe that we are called, all of us, not just pastors, not just ministries, we are all called to preach the gospel to every nation. And what better way to do that than with radio? And so there's lots of ways you can present. Obviously, if you have an invitation, then you can become involved. There is partnering with us financially. that's another option. But buy into the vision and, be part of a global movement where we get souls involved. Nico, I want you to do something special as we end off. I don't know if you're going to be able to, but I just feel this is something I need to do. Will you do a greeting for us, saying goodbye to our listeners, and do it in Zulu?
Just before we go,
Yes.
I just want to say, wherever you are in the world, you got a cell phone or a laptop with internet, will be able to pick us up. Cell phone, anywhere in the world, we are available.
So you can download an app, it's called Rainbow World. And on that, you can pick up our Rainbow Gospel Radio, but also our Zulu station. And I think the Arabic station would possibly be added very soon. So not just use it yourself, but also share it with others, especially in the different countries that we're developing the stations in their different languages. Thank you, Nico. I appreciate your time being on the show with me. I really loved it.
God bless you.
And I hope that the message comes across. I love being on the station with you, and I think we're doing great work.
Amen. Thank you, brother. God bless you. It was a privilege.
Thank you to all the listeners being on the show as well. And we'll see you next week at 12 o'clock on Monday, Central Africa time. Thank you.